Most of us were so relieved when the first coronavirus vaccines made it to our shores last week, but a study has put something of a dampener on that, as it shows the Oxford AstraZeneca shot is less effective against the variant of the virus discovered in South Africa. So to give us more clarity on this, I'm joined by Professor Tulio de Oliveira, Director of the KwaZulu-Natal Research, Innovation and Sequencing Platform, or CRISP. A very good morning to you. This is not good news, is it? Tell us what we should be thinking regarding the latest findings surrounding AstraZeneca.
Okay, yeah. Good morning to your viewers. Yeah, so there is some good news and some bad news. So let's start with the bad news. Yeah, the bad news is that last week and more specifically, as the trials of the AstraZeneca vaccine finished in South Africa, they noticed that was not much efficacy on patients that have mild or medium disease. Yeah, what it means that they have been following this the trial of in South Africa, and until October was very high efficacy. Yeah? And as the new variant appeared, it seemed to have decreased the efficacy about medium and mild infections. Yeah? But however, the main objective of a vaccine, it is really to decrease hospitalization and deaths. Yeah? And because this trial was not a very large one, they didn't get no case of hospitalization or deaths, neither in the vaccine or the placebo arm. So what it means that at the moment we don't know if the vaccine is effective on stop hospitalization and deaths, which we think that still will because the antibody levels. But we know that in mild disease, there isn't much large effect, or it's around 20%.
Okay, should we have done our homework better? Should we have known about this? I mean, it seems like an extraordinary waste of money.
I don't think so. I think that was exactly the opposite. Yeah, the South African scientists and the scientists that have been involved in that trial from the Wits and the Oxford, they did the opposite. This variant was only discovered in beginning of December, and they work over the clock during the whole period of holidays, to try to understand that. And it's extremely important to know what both the genetic variation, and what's the effect. We much better know that before it is started the large vaccination than after. Yeah. So that's part of one of the good news is that South Africa is being respected internationally around the whole world as probably one of the leading countries on making sure that can answer these crucial questions about variants and about vaccines. Yeah. This is a very fast-moving field, and what we also learned last week is that two other vaccines, but especially the Johnson & Johnson that was also tested in South Africa, they show good effectiveness or good efficacy against the variant. Yeah.
Okay, let me jump in here. I mean, firstly, I agree with you. Our scientists have been quite extraordinary what they've done in their own time. Johnson & Johnson, is it going to be any different? How do we know?
It will be different because it was tested during the same time, and the results show a much bigger efficacy. Yeah. Furthermore, what has happened both in AstraZeneca, but also the other company, they are also busy generating what they call boosters from that variant. Yeah. And that's why it's so important to do this research with the speed and to do that here in South Africa. So one thing that we know that the Johnson & Johnson was much more efficacy in the same environment at the same time with the same population. And that's what we believe that's going to be starting to roll out next week. And this vaccine not only was trialed in South Africa, but also there is facilities that can co-produce the vaccine in South Africa. And that's, again, if you remember when our president came, Cyril Ramaphosa, they already buying multiple vaccines. And these all countries did. For example, the UK bought like 5 times more vaccine to the whole population without they even finishing the trials. Yeah. So I don't think that was a waste of money. I think that was the right thing to do. as it is the right thing to keep doing this high-level science to understand this.
Okay, let me ask you briefly, Tulio, what should we do with these AstraZeneca vaccines? Do we throw them away? Do we send them back? Do we administer them anyway?
So I think this have to be thought very carefully, and what I believe that's why we have a ministerial advisory committee from vaccines, yeah. And what I heard today in the radio, and the health minister also mentioned today, is that as they roll out the vaccine, they're going to make sure that they do what's called implementation science. What it means that a percentage of individuals is followed careful, yeah, just to make sure that the efficacy of the vaccines with this on new variant. One of the good news about all these big trials in South Africa is that almost no one develops serious disease, and that's, yeah. So we still believe that the vaccine still have an effect there.
All right, let's end on that good news, Professor. Thanks for that.